turn them into business deals. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I now have the honor to kindly invite the Minister for Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia to deliver her remarks. Joining us virtually, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Her Excellency Ibu Retno Marsudi.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending the inaugural Indonesia Center Eastern Europe INACEE Business Forum. The pandemic has delivered serious blows in our economies and halted our growth. But as many of us are now starting to get a hold of the pandemic, economic recovery is high on our agenda. As we strive to recover stronger from the pandemic, one thing is for sure: a business-as-usual approach will not cut it. We need to explore innovative ways to accelerate our recovery and dig deeper into untapped potential. Against this backdrop, this forum is very important to revitalize trade and investment relations and boost economic cooperation between Indonesia and CEE countries. Let us focus on our effort on three priorities. First, restoring connectivity and global movement of goods, services, and people. Indonesia and CEE countries should collaborate in developing technical arrangements to preserve connectivity and build a more resilient supply chain. Reviving international travel should be a priority area of our cooperation. We can start by exploring the establishment of a travel corridor arrangement for essential business travelers, to be followed by similar arrangements for tourists. Critical to this endeavor are mutual recognition of vaccine certification and travel guidelines for movement of people between Indonesia and CEE countries. My second point, exploring untapped potential in our trade relations. Colleagues, despite the pandemic, total trade between Indonesia and 20 CEE countries reached $4.31 billion between January and July 2021 and grew by 25.57% from the same period last year. However, it accounted for just around 2% of Indonesia's overall trade during the period and 0.01% of CEE's total trade. It is about time we explore other prospective areas such as coffee, cacao, marine products, palm oil, and furniture. Indonesia is also interested to develop cooperation in green economy, in particular, new and renewable energy. We must utilize all available tools to enhance our economic relation, including the Memorandum of Cooperation between Indonesia and the Eurasian Economic Union and accelerating the establishment of trade agreements between Indonesia and organizations in CEE region. Third, leveraging digitalization in our economic cooperation. Colleagues, digital platforms would help our business to connect with each other, converting prospects into leads and leads into business deals. In this regard, Indonesia has developed INACEE as a comprehensive platform to showcase various products and present vast investment opportunity. I invite colleagues from CEE to utilize this platform and uncover potential for cooperation between Indonesia and your country. In closing, I personally encourage you to visit Indonesia when the opportunity arises and experience firsthand what we can offer to your countries. I thank you very much and I wish you a fruitful and productive meeting.
Thank you, Your Excellency. So, Indonesia, we need to explore the TCA between Indonesia and CEE and exploring opportunity in prospective areas and leverage digitalization. I'm so nervous with all the respective panelists here. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we will proceed with the signing ceremony session now. For the signing ceremony of Memorandum of Understanding on the establishment of Indonesia-Ukraine Business Association in Indonesia and Ukraine-Indonesia Business Association in Ukraine between PT Ekshar Berkah Jaya and Smart 4B in Ukraine, we kindly invite the representative of PT Ekshar Berkah Jaya, Bapak Muhammad Haris Analek, to come to the stage. And the representative of Smart 4B from Ukraine, Mr. Evgeny Drobkov, who joins us virtually from the Indonesian Embassy in Kiev. The signing will be witnessed by His Excellency Bapak Yudi Krisnandi, Ambassador of the Republic of Indonesia to Ukraine, and Bapak Ngurah Swajaya, Director General for American and European Affairs of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia. Bapak Ngurah Swajaya, kami persilahkan. I think we're ready. PT Ekshar Berkah Jaya and Smart 4B, you may now sign the documents. Gentlemen, please show the signed document to the camera for a quick photo. Thank you, gentlemen. May I now invite Bapak Muhammad Haris Analek, followed by Mr. Evgeny Drobkov for a short testimony.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
First of all, I would like to thank you to Indonesian Minister of Foreign Affairs of Republic Indonesia, Ibu Retno Marsudi, for the opportunity given to this event. And also, I would like to thank you, Mr. Ambassador, of course, Professor Yudi Krisnandi, Indonesian Ambassador for Ukrainian. Thank you for the trust, Pak. Thank you for your kindness and humbleness. Thank you to open the opportunity for us in Ukraine. Because of Mr. Ambassador, we are able to penetrate market in Ukraine and get the opportunity access. Terima kasih, Pak Ambassador. To Mr. Baskara and Mrs. Lisa and all the team from the Embassy of the Republic Indonesia in Ukraine, who have always helped so far, patient as well, arrange the meeting, meet right person and right connection. Thank you, Pak Bas, Bu Lisa, and all the team. And to Mr. Ambassador, Pak Ngurah Swajaya, actually we met in Singapore a couple years ago, Pak. That's why I was remind you when we had lunch today. And to Mrs. Orina Ritonga, Secretary of the Director General for American and European Affairs. Thank you, Ibu. And for Mr. Evgen, thank you for being together to make this collaboration. We will be incubator for those people who wants to explore and scale up business in Indonesian and Ukrainian. And thank you for all delegation and the ambassador who here. And Indonesia has a strong geography from Sabang to Merauke with largest population and diverse ecosystem. Indonesia has abundant natural resources, such as coffee, cacao, pepper, spices, and many small and medium enterprises spread throughout Indonesia. Indonesia is not only a producer, but also a big market. Export is one of the solutions to restore and revitalize the Indonesian economic during the COVID pandemic situation. Many business actors faces many obstacles in penetrating the export market, including capital, quality, legality, high cost, certification, market opportunity, business changing from conventional to digital. Many Indonesian products have great potential for export, such as agricultural products, fishery, furniture, home decoration, cosmetic, herbal product, and Muslim clothing. Therefore, it is necessary to prepare the capacity and competitiveness for export product through consistent assistance from partner and aggregator. Therefore, it is very necessary for partnership aggregator to be able to assist and provide guidance to business actor in order to facilitate the export process. INACEE business meeting, this forum is dispensable for partner or aggregator such as PT Excel Berkah Jaya or other business actor as a forum for interacting with each other, seeing business opportunity to bring together product and their market in order to accelerate the penetration of Indonesian export market abroad. And I will introduce my business partner here. First is Ibu Diantri Lapian as our commissioner in our company. And Bu Diantri is the chairman of Entrepreneurial Society. So he had 20,000 members all around Indonesia with all the product from Indonesia. And then Pak Yuda Permana from Indonesian Young Entrepreneur Association. Thank you for coming, Pak Yuda. And Dr. Eko Kurniawan as Deputy General Treasurer of Economic Syariah Community, Jakarta. Thank you, Pak Eko. We are committed to not being able to provide low price, but we can guarantee the product quality, delivery time, and adorable price. We cannot offer cheap price, but we commit to guarantee the good quality on time and adorable price. We will targeting in $1.5 million transaction for next 1 year, including with all the commodities, coffee, mocaf. Mocaf is modified cassava flour, is gluten-free. And then we will launch our platform Pasar, like Ibu Minister said, that we will shifting from the conventional transaction to the digital platform. So we will launching at the Economic Syariah Forum Community on 29 October, Mr. Ambassador, with Pak Erick Thohir as Minister of State-Owned Enterprises, Republic Indonesia. We hope that this INACEE Business Meeting Forum can be held regularly so that export opportunity can be executed properly and quickly. Thank you.
For the representative of Smart 4B.
Thank you. I really try to be short, and I would like to welcome all participants in such a great event. And I especially would like to make a stress on highly professional work of Embassy of Indonesia in Ukraine. We help them, we signed such agreement, and we attended such a great event. And I would like to congratulate all of us with such event and wish every success in our future endeavors. So let's continue our work. It's very important. I hope that partnership between people and between businesses will help both countries to get their prosperity and success. You're very welcome.
Thank you. Let's continue our work together. Bapak Muhammad Haris Analek, you may now return to your seat. However, Bapak Ngurah Swajaya, we kindly ask you to remain on stage to witness the next signing. Next, we will also witness the signing ceremony of letter of intent to purchase high-fat desiccated coconut worth more than 1.5 million US dollar for the first year between PT Rodamas International and PICO Ltd in Bulgaria. We kindly invite Bapak Hadi Santoso, President of PT Rodamas International, to come to the stage, and also invite Mr. Kirill Ivanov, Commercial Director of PICO Ltd Bulgaria, who joins us virtually from the Indonesian Embassy in Sofia. The signing will be witnessed by His Excellency Bapak Iwan Bogananta, Ambassador of the Republic of Indonesia to Bulgaria, as well as Bapak Ngurah Swajaya. PT Rodamas International and PICO Ltd, you may now sign the documents. Okay, please show the signed document to the camera for a quick photo. Thank you, gentlemen, and congratulations. May I invite Bapak Hadi Santoso, followed also by Mr. Kirill Ivanov for a short testimony.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First of all, this is my very first time to stand in front of very, very important people. So it's quite nerve-wracking experience for me, but thank you very much. Your Excellencies, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Bu Retno Marsudi, Excellency, the Minister of Trade, Bapak Muhammad Lutfi, Your Excellency, Director General for American and European Affairs, Bapak I Gusti Ngurah Swajaya, Your Excellency, the Ambassador of the Republic of Indonesia to Bulgaria, Albania and North Macedonia, Mr. Iwan Bogananta, distinguished ambassadors, our business partner, the INACEE Company Limited, Bulgaria, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the honor given to us to have the opportunity to take part in this special event. On behalf of PT Rodamas International, we thank you very much for your full support. Our goal is not merely to profit from exporting Sasa food seasoning products, but in line with the government's policy to spice up the world, we carry a big mission to elevate the prestige of Indonesian food product in the world. We strongly believe that Indonesian food products are not made only for Indonesians, but to be liked and enjoyed by people all over the world and are able to competitive internationally. So in this very special occasion, we would like to express our highest gratitude and appreciation to Ambassador Iwan Bogananta and his team for their great and active support in marketing and bringing us together with INACEE Company Limited, Bulgaria. May God bless us all so that this collaboration will be beneficial and strengthen relations between the two parties and the two countries. From Indonesia to the world, thank you very much.
Mr. Kirill Ivanov, please. Mr. Kirill Ivanov, could you please unmute yourself or raise your volume?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Hello again. Thank you for Ministers Marsudi and Minister Lutfi for organizing this event. It is very important in such difficult times to be able to connect with partners all over the world without having to go through the obstacles of traveling. Thank you, Your Excellency, Ambassador Bogoranta, for connecting us with Indonesian partners. And this is just the first of many potential projects that we have together for increasing our business with Indonesia, not only with desiccated coconut, but also with such important products like palm oil and coffee and cocoa. Thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you. Congratulations once again, Bapak Hadi Santoso and Bapak Ngurah Swajaya. You may now return to your seats. Before we proceed to the next agenda, allow us to present a video presentation.
Indonesia is a country with extraordinary economic potential. As one of the world's emerging economies, Indonesia has become an important partner for other world economic powers, especially Europe and America. Even though the world economy is under pressure due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Indonesia's economic potential remains promising. This is made possible by the large population of Indonesia, which encourages high domestic demand. With a population of 268 million, Indonesia is the fourth most populous country in the world. Indonesia is the 16th largest economy in the world based on gross domestic product, and the world's 7th largest economy by purchasing power parity measures. This potential is even more promising given the fact that Indonesia is entering a demographic window of opportunity phase. It is estimated that by 2030, Indonesia will experience a demographic dividend in which the composition of the population of productive age in Indonesia will reach 70% of the population. This perspective is even more encouraging. With its strategic location in the Indo-Pacific region, Indonesia continues to encourage international economic cooperation. As the largest economy in ASEAN, Indonesia initiated a free trade agreement between 10 ASEAN member countries and 5 ASEAN partner countries contained in the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, signed on 15 November 2020. A very prominent trade and investment partner, Indonesia's natural wealth produces various minerals, including nickel, cobalt, and lithium, which are the main raw materials for batteries for environmentally friendly electric vehicles. Sustainable production and development are also applied with the growing palm oil industry. As the largest producer of palm oil in the world, the Indonesian government encourages the development of sustainable palm plantations by issuing certificates of Indonesia Sustainability Palm Oil for businesses in the sector. Welcoming the Industrial Era 4.0, the Indonesian government has prepared supporting infrastructure through the Pelapa Ring project. The 12,128 kilometers worth of fiber optic backbone network project connects all regions in Indonesia. Along with that, Indonesia's digital industry is growing rapidly. Within the last 5 years, Indonesian e-commerce market has grown to 70%. As a digital economic market with the largest and fastest growth in Asia, it is estimated that by 2025, the e-commerce market in Indonesia will reach the value of $53 billion. Indonesian startups attract global investment, many of them achieving the unicorn and even decacorn status. Most of these startup companies also empower the micro, small, and medium enterprises, which contribute significantly to the growing economy of Indonesia. The rapid development of the digital industry also opens up great opportunities in other sectors, especially the creative industry. From game developers to digital applications in music, art, and fashion. Even gastronomy as well as processed food and beverage. At the same time, Indonesia is even more committed than ever to move towards a greener and more sustainable economy. The consistent increase of Indonesia's foreign trade and investment flow has always been supported by the existence of Indonesian representatives abroad. The Indonesia Trade Promotion Center and the Indonesia Investment Promotion Center spread around the globe have always been one of the backbones in the collective efforts. The government of Indonesia's commitment to strengthen economic cooperation with the world remains bold even during the hard times and crisis. The ease of bureaucracy is now followed by legislative reform through the implementation of the Omnibus Law to create certainty in investing in Indonesia from a legal perspective.
By investing here, you're going to get access to the Indonesian market, and you're going to be able to develop an export platform for your products. So a lot of countries are looking at Indonesia now, and I think probably they need to do more than just look. They need to actually come.
Indonesia has a prominent reputation as a country with endless potential. Any sector in Indonesia has the potential to champion growth in the economy. The positive progression made by the government of Indonesia in various sectors, they are ready to contribute more to the economy.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia and our embassies, as well as representatives in the Americas and Europe, are ready to welcome you for trade and investment to Indonesia. Come over and find the significant opportunities to invest and trade with Indonesia.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to open our business seminar, we are now going to listen to the remarks delivered by Director General for American and European Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia, followed by keynote remarks by the Minister for Trade of the Republic of Indonesia. We would like to invite to come to the stage Ambassador Ngurah Swajaya to deliver his remarks. Bapak, kami persilahkan.
So I can see clearly now without mask on my face. Excellencies, Minister for Foreign Affairs, Ibu Retno Marsudi, Minister of Trade, Bapak Muhammad Lutfi, ambassadors who are together with us here in persons, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and also our colleague from 20 countries of the Central and Eastern Europe. A very good morning to colleagues in Central and Eastern Europe, as well as good afternoon to everyone who are present here together with us, as well as those who are following virtually. So I hope that you are all always in good condition and certainly start doing our business for the recovery of the post-COVID-19. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to warmly welcome you all to Indonesia, Central and Eastern Europe, or INACEE, Business Forum 2021. As the Minister said, this is the inaugural Business Forum, meaning that hopefully this is going to be followed by another one next year, the following years, of course, with much more business interactions. And also, as you see just now, pandemic or restriction do not really constrain us to collaborate with the signing that we just witnessed today, which is done across thousands of miles away. But the most important thing is send a message that we are able to still do business, and I think we will also facilitate that to happen with all of each of the countries in Central and Eastern European countries. INACEE Business Forum 2021 is especially designed to bring together businesses from Indonesia and 20 countries in Central and Eastern Europe, especially during this pandemic situations, to connect to each other and also to explore and engage in many economic opportunities that can be developed either through trade or also investment. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as COVID-19 remains our common challenge, it requires also common effort, but we have also seen lately the significant rebound of the economy, especially the economic growth in many countries, including also in your region. I think this requires our preparation to respond, require our continuous engagement to really tap the potentials. We know that when the economic rebound very fast, then the infrastructure is following a little bit slowly because of what happened last year that really affected badly in terms of the logistics, in terms of the preparation and everything. So I think this really something that we need to start doing and also accelerate our activities. As we are all experiencing the technological transformation, political dynamics, and also pandemic that have disrupted the global economy in the past 2 years, subsequently it requires an adjustment to respond to a shift. Take, for example, when we are talking about the global supply chains. So there are discussions about diversification of global supply chains. There are discussions about resilience of the global supply chains. All of this, at this particular juncture, Indonesia and the countries in Central and Eastern Europe provide a significant potentials to be tapped as both presents indeed a growing opportunities in their respective characteristics. Indonesia is located in the fastest growing region. Here, people call it Indo-Pacific, Asia-Pacific. It belongs to the Asian century. It also presents not only more than 800 million market within ASEAN, but which, of course, would have a combined GDP of more than $3 trillion, but also it is in the middle of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement that has already been signed last year, being the largest SEPA in the world. So I think this really presents a significant opportunities. While countries in Central and Eastern Europe are also the fastest growing economy, presenting a significant opportunity with more than 400 million population combined in all of that 20 countries, and also combined GDP of more than $4 trillion. Technological transformation are also the fastest growing in these regions. As Minister Retno mentioned earlier about the green economy, the energy transformation, I think this is all of the potential that we can tap and we can explore in our collaboration between Indonesia and all of the countries in Central and Eastern European countries. As the economy are fast recovering, including also in Indonesia, we have seen many opportunities, but also, I think, unfortunately, there are also challenges requiring our effective strategy to respond them. As demand grew, we have, in the past 6 months, we have seen an increase of about 25% of trade between Indonesia and the Central and Eastern European countries. This is in the past 6 months. Of course, last year it was dropped slightly, but this year it's growing up. But then, of course, we are also subsequently face a significant challenge. I think this will also be the topic of the discussion in the panel discussion concerning the logistics. You see that there are a lot of backlogging in many ports. There are severe, container provision in many countries, and there are also lack of space in the mothership for export and import activities. So I think this is certainly require our conversation, our discussion on how to really address that challenges. Since the second quarter of this year, Indonesia has regained its economic growth, proving itself again as the Asia's economic powerhouse. Indonesia's economy is expected to continue growing. It will grow together with many countries in the region, in this particular region. It is also offers significant opportunities for countries in Central and Eastern Europe. The IMF latest yearly assessment of Indonesia's economy shows that Indonesia has the firepower to boost its economic recovery. Indonesia, with a projected population of roughly 313 million by 2045, is a tremendous force. And also we have our own large domestic market in addition to a very large and also potential regional market. Several world financial agencies such as the IMF, the World Bank, and also the OECD predicted that Indonesia's economic growth in 2021 will grow approximately around 5%. Indonesia's foreign trade performance has recorded a trade surplus since May 2020. Indonesia's strong international trade performance will support resilience of the external sectors as well as will also drive the economic growth here in the country. Finally, foreign direct investment is also recovering, growing 12.5% year on year in the first quarter of this year to $7.7 billion US dollar or 6.3 billion euro compared to 9.9 growth. This is a 9.9% growth compared to the previous year. Indonesia is optimistic but remain also vigilant in addressing this pandemic, that the pandemic can hopefully be controlled and the social economic activities could hopefully be recovered sooner rather than later. While the pandemic has changed our way in living, the battle against COVID-19 is far from over. We witness that the advancement in technology and innovation has also not slowing down even during the pandemic. The pandemic has brought about new opportunities, if we see this as a momentum, especially on the digitalization of the economy, where this is mainly powering the continuation of the economic activities during the pandemic. Indonesia's digital economic potential is, of course, very promising. Currently, we have several unicorn and also one decacorn, which a valuation of almost 20 billion US dollars. And also, I think, as Bloomberg reported, we just see the newborn of a new unicorn also in Indonesia. So adding one more unicorn, and hopefully there will be more and more unicorn coming and also tap the potential. And this will also provide the opportunity for collaboration with the countries in the region. This means that the economic potential can be increased. Therefore, owing to the digital infrastructure, the government is continuing the development of the digital infrastructure in Indonesia. I just spoke with our colleague around my table that I think the government is also going to start the 5G communication here in Indonesia. The government of Indonesia has launched Making Indonesia 4.0 initiative to realize the vision of Golden Indonesia as one of the leading countries in the digital economy by 2045. Indonesia's digital economy and 4.0 industry is the fastest in Southeast Asia, with the fourth largest population in the world, particularly 185 million people connecting to the internet. The industrial growth will carry Indonesia to the top and also the global economic power in 2030. This newly enacted omnibus law on the job creation not only enhancing ease of doing business, but also improving the sustainability of economic development in Indonesia, as Minister Retno just also mentioned in her opening remark. The government is planning to open the first green industrial park in North Kalimantan. I think this is certainly green with not use of the fossil fuels, but of course the new and renewable energy. Hopefully this will be inaugurated before the end of the year. And also the human resources development is also core in the priorities of the government. Business permit, licensing, and legal certainty, as well as incentive, is also featured in the new omnibus law on job creation. Excellencies, distinguished friends, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished colleagues also in Central and Eastern European countries, going forward, we should continue our conversation and also identifying potential business opportunities, increase trade and investment, especially between the on the priority sectors that we deem also necessary to be improved in the years to come. We must increase business interactions, and that is the reason why, after the panel discussion, we will continue with one-on-one business meeting, which already registered. I think there are more than 10 one-on-one business meetings is going to take place after the discussion. So hopefully this is not going to be the only events that we organize today, but of course this will continue. As Minister Retno mentioned earlier, we hope that she will launch the new INACEE that will provide a platform presenting more than 400 companies so far. I think it's going to increase with thousands of different products, and also more than 100 companies from Eastern and Central European countries. It is also providing information about ready-to-invest business, more than 130 projects that has already been curated by the Minister of Investment as well as the Indonesian Central Bank. So this digital platform will continue working, although we are ending our business forum. It will continue facilitating. It will be the bridge 24/7 available to businesses in Indonesia and also Central and European countries to interact. So I sincerely hope that the business forum could strengthen further the interactions and in turn, of course, increase trade and investment, as well as, I believe, by looking at all of those movies about the tourism potential, I think people cannot wait. I have received also tons of messages from Europe. They cannot wait to travel to Bali. So hopefully this will be possible very soon, and then of course you will be able to enjoy all of the beauties of Indonesia. To end, now it is with great pleasure for me to welcome a good friend, Minister Muhammad Lutfi, the Minister of Trade of Indonesia, to deliver his keynote address. So, Minister, the screen is yours. Thank you.
Excellency Ibu Retno Marsudi, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia, Honorable Ibu Shinta Kamdani, Chambers of Commerce and Industry of Indonesia, Excellency Representative of Embassies of the Central and Eastern Europe in Indonesia, Honorable as Representative of Embassies of the Republic of Indonesia in Central and Eastern Europe, respected panelists, distinguished business players, Captain of Industries, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon to you all. Allow me to thank you for joining this virtual business forum. It is certainly my privilege to be here alongside business players, Captain of Industries, government representative from Indonesia and Central Eastern Europe. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia's trade performance is quite resilient during the COVID-19 pandemic. Indonesia trade balance continued to record a surplus for 16 months and reaching $19.17 billion for January to August 2021. In the same period, our exports shown growth of 37.77% per year, and import grew about 33.36% year-on-year. The recovery of Indonesia's export is strongly influenced by the global economic recovery and the increasing demand for Indonesia's trading partners countries. Central and Eastern European countries are some of our potential trading partners. Currently, among countries in Central and Eastern Europe, some have been listed as Indonesia's top 30 main export destinations. Apart from this, I believe there is enormous trade potential between Indonesia and these regions soon. In the period of January to August 2021, the value of Indonesia's export to Central Europe shown a growth of 23.6% year-on-year, reaching about $2.52 billion in value. While export to Eastern Europe increased steadily by 58.07% year-on-year, from around $910 million to about $1.4 billion. Indonesia's export products to this region are ranging from rubber, steel, palm oil and its fractions, copper ores, tin, footwear, wood, and charcoal. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I think we all agree that today's agenda is an important moment for us to carry on increasing our economic relationship, predominantly in the trade sector. In these pandemic situations, efforts to increase our trade relationship must be maintained continuously, let alone in the situations of economic recovery that has shown a positive trend. In line with that, I would reiterate Indonesia's commitment to strengthen trade cooperations with this region in this forum. I encourage the business players of Central and Eastern Europe to explore business with Indonesia more than before. Through these occasions, I also invite you all to visit our annual Trade Expo Indonesia digital versions of 2021. This expo will be held virtually from 21st of October to 4th of November 2021, followed by Trade Expo Indonesia virtual showcase until 20th of December 2021. Please mark your calendar and we will be grateful to welcome you all. In addition, I gladly inform you that we will also participate in the World Expo 2020 Dubai, which will become a platform for Indonesia to introduce ourselves to the citizen of the world. Through this event, we will display Indonesia's potential in trade, investment, and tourism sectors, as well as our culture to millions of visitors around the world. Lastly, I believe that we could not grow and expand our business alone. In this increasingly globalized and networked world, everyone will need everybody else to establish and expand the business. Thank you, and I wish you a fruitful and successful business forum. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Tanah Merah berdiri dari tahun 2013 dengan aim Make Indonesia Famous for Specialty Coffee. Di tahun 2015, kami mengikuti ajang kompetisi Melbourne International Coffee Expo yang diikuti kurang lebih 800 entries dari seluruh dunia. Tanah Merah berhasil mendapatkan peringkat pertama, begitu juga di tahun berikutnya. Total awards Tanah Merah dapatkan sampai saat ini 51 awards. Dari kompetisi ini, kami semakin percaya kopi Indonesia dapat bersaing di dunia internasional. Tanah Merah turut membantu petani lokal dengan edukasi dan menyediakan tools yang memadai. Contohnya pada tahun 2018, Tanah Merah bekerja sama dengan Desa Manikliu di Kintamani, Bali. Pada bulan Desember 2019, Tanah Merah melakukan ekspor pertama specialty beans ke Rusia. Dan tahun ini, Tanah Merah akan melakukan ekspansi pertamanya di luar Indonesia. Indonesia's potential to be world leading for specialty coffee in our inspiration. There are many good coffee programs to help the farmer improve their wealth and well-being. Unfortunately, many do not provide the final benefits for the farmer group. We see that Tanah Merah Coffee can provide a valuable feedback loop to the farmer for international specialty coffee requirements. This can be easily replicated across Indonesia. As well as improving coffee quality, our main focus is to improve our farmer group's financial well-being while ensuring this is sustainable for future generations.
Together we have improved the quality control of cherry picking. It sounds too basic, but it took a long time to change the farmer's mindset. Upgrade the washing station, pulping machine, cooling machine, upgraded the drying with a used solar dome for more rapid drying. We also improved workflow, the mutual learning exchange between us and the farmers for best way to produce specialty coffee. So all of this upgraded process can help minimizing external risk such as the weather condition. So we can try more innovative special process next season. Now I can make some solid data using the solar dome in this year. We will apply this data and experience to the new farms.
So with this system, our premium and specialty green bean production has significantly increased from 2 tons in 2017 to 32 tons in 2020. We still need more farms for more volume, as we can already see the export opportunities emerging for this. That helps Indonesia move from being known for commodity coffee to being a producer of true specialty grade coffee.
See, this innovative process is more efficient, more reliable, doesn't depend on good weather, and can create several distinct flavor profiles out of the same crop.
Indonesia has a lot of untapped potential for specialty coffee, both in terms of quality and quantity for its domestic as well as international markets. With improved farming practices and education, we believe that Indonesian farmers are ready for it.
Sebelum kerjasama ya kita produksi juga, tapi tidak terlalu banyak. Itu pun prosesnya kurang sesuai dengan yang diharapkan demikian. Setelah bertemu sama Pak John, mereka tuh mengajari proses pemetikan kopi, bagaimana sih pemetikan kopi yang bagus, dan sangat mengedukasi daripada kami sendiri. Setelah diberikan fasilitas, ternyata perubahannya sangat luar biasa, kapasitas sangat bertambah luar biasa, kualitas kopi sangat berubah luar biasa juga, sangat merasakan sekali ada perubahan untuk produksi dan kualitas demikian. Di mana dulunya yang belum kita kerjasama paling cuma hanya 5 orang demikian. Dengan adanya kehadiran Tanah Merah luar biasa, itu mencapai jumlah 105 orang demikian.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now start the panel session of our business seminar, Please address your comments and questions about our session via chat box to be later discussed during the question and answer session. The panel will be moderated by Ms. Sarah Wayne. Ms. Sarah Wayne. Hello, Ms. Wayne. It's so good to have you here. Finally, we meet again. So today we will have a very interesting discussion. I now present the time and screen to you.
Thank you very much, Amanda, for the kind introduction. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sarah Wayne, and as it has been mentioned before, I will be moderating the business seminar session for this afternoon. Once again, welcome to the Indonesia Central and Eastern Europe Business Forum 2021. And today we'll be having a dialogue and also talking more about doing business with Indonesia, Asia's economic powerhouse. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce to you and welcome all the panelists for today's panel discussion. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, as we are awaiting our panelists, please, now we have two of our panelists who will be coming on stage today. Please give a round of applause. Thank you, Adino, and also Patrice, please take your seat. And it is a great honor and also very fortunate for us to have with us also, who we can see on screen, all the panelists joining us from Europe. Good afternoon, Indonesia time, ladies and gentlemen. And since we are here to have a lengthy and hopefully a fruitful discussion, I would like to allow our panelists to use a face shield, but please do note that we have tested negative for COVID-19. And to all of our panelists on screen, can I see probably a thumbs up if you can hear my voice clearly over the audio? Okay, I can see one thumbs up. But before that, probably as we are waiting for the connection, we would like to once again remind everyone here that we'll be having question and answer session. And since this is a discussion, I encourage everyone here to please do prepare your questions, which you can ask to our panelists at the end of the session. And for those of you joining us virtually, once again, you may propose your question using the chat box by stating your name, institution, and also writing down your question and to whom the question is addressed to. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I will start today's discussion and also seminar session by asking, probably here we have with us today Dr. Janos Kolka, who is joining us from the Visegrád region. We'd like to know more on his view. What is the current update on the economic situation and also the future projection, especially in Central and also Eastern Europe? Dr. Kolka?
Selamat siang and good morning, everyone. It's an honor to represent Hungary, a country in Central Eastern Europe with 60-plus year history in diplomatic relations with Indonesia, a country with north of $200 million in bilateral trade with double-digit growth even in the year of pandemic, a country where prime ministers and Indonesia's presidents having paid multiple state visits in each other's countries in the last 20 years. The latest developments in bilateral relations is that a mutual investment fund of $500 million was recently announced between Bu Retno and Minister Szijjártó of Hungary to foster bilateral economic relations, which fortunately increasingly comprises of electronic and technology products apart from the traditional agricultural products like rubber, palm oil, and Hungarian food. My personal story with Indonesia has a history of 20 years. I started in the early 2000s as a president of the Indonesian-Hungarian Joint Business Council. Then I joined to the Hungarian government as a Minister of Economy, Trade and Infrastructure, in which capacity of mine I served as a president of the Intergovernmental Hungarian-Indonesian Council. Since 2010, I've been representing the leading Central Eastern European mobile payment provider, Celum, in Jakarta. In this respect, I've paid dozens of visits since then, and in certain periods that was my second home, basically. And since 2017, I've served as a senior fintech advisor of Telkom Indonesia, the largest ICT company of Southeastern Asia. Referring back to Bu Retno's keynote remarks earlier today, I'd like to elaborate on digital collaboration and connectivity. Because I think between Central Eastern Europe and Indonesia, the most important thing is to open a virtual corridor to transfer know-how, technology, knowledge, and software. These types of products and quote-unquote goods are very much distance tolerant. It means that if we can find out the ways how to implement in each other's countries, those technologies, inventions, know-hows that have been implemented in our respective countries with a success, then we can contribute a lot to the prosperity of these countries and the regions. I have been doing financial technology for over a decade, in which respect I think Indonesia has significant opportunities in ASEAN and in Southeast Europe. Similarly to how Singapore has been pioneering international trade and financial sector regionally, I think Indonesia has similar opportunities in technology if the country will be quick enough to adopt the latest technologies, including but not limited to financial technologies. Financial inclusion, apart from its regional perspectives, are increasingly important for Indonesia itself because distances are huge. There are more than 6,000 inhabited islands in your country. So the digital communication of goods, ideas, money, and other non-tangible products is increasingly important. So I'd like to continue pushing heavily on every fora the importance of a digital relationship, so to speak, between Central Eastern Europe and Indonesia. The other point I wanted to make is related to medical technologies. Similarly to fintech, I think the newest breed of medical technologies would be of excellent use for Indonesia. Again, a large country with multiple islands, with limited infrastructure, limited access to health services, but with a young population in possession of all the pieces of digital devices, i.e. mobile phones, that are capable of being converted into telemedicine devices would contribute heavily to the health gain of the Indonesian population. We Hungarians have been successful in the last decades in implementing the latest medical technologies, cloud-based medical records, virtual subscriptions, telemetric, telediagnostic, teleconsultation methods, which can quite easily be exported and implemented to Indonesia, where the market is huge and the demand is imminent.
Yes, with the technological advances in various sectors that we
absolutely. So this would be
also Indonesia.
This would be our contribution to Indonesia's success. Thank you.
We'll further discuss and push on that later, Dr. Kofa. But before we do so, I would like to also ask Mr. Mikhail Sherekayev, who is also with us virtually this afternoon. Mr. Sherekayev, what is your projection and also opinion, especially on the current economic situation in our countries respectively?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I represent the Eurasian Economic Commission. It's an executive body of Eurasian Economic Union. Indonesia is one of the main trade partners of the EIU countries in the Asia-Pacific region, and is among the limited number of countries with which the EIU began to explore the prospect of the conclusion of free trade agreement. Of course, in 2020, the pandemic year, as well as world trade showed a decline, our countries of the of Eurasian Economic Union, trade with Indonesia also declined by 13.5%. But still, according to our preliminary estimates, the trade in goods between the EIU countries and Indonesia has the potential to increase by $1.4 billion. In the context of the recession of the world trade, free trade agreement will be able to support trade between our countries and create conditions for the realization of the export potential of our economies. In September 2020, the Joint Feasibility Study Group on the free trade agreement between Eurasian Economic Union and its member states on the one part and Indonesia on the other part has been established and started to elaborate on the report on feasibility of such a free trade agreement. As for today, the major part of the report is agreed by the EU member states on one hand and Indonesia on the other hand. So we are in the final stage. Within this work, our expert has explored in detail current situation in trade and economic relations between our countries and assessed the possible economic effects, including benefits and risks for our economies in the context of liberalization of trade regime. The analysis already showed that the tariff liberalization, reduction of non-tariff barriers, and promotion of trade facilitation measures within free trade agreement have a positive impact on bilateral trade and GDP for all EIU members and Indonesia. In order to improve the volume of trade in goods between the sides, the cooperation on technical regulation, standards, obligatory requirements should be encouraged with the spirit to reduce technical barriers to trade. Cooperation in the area of trade in goods may cover any field jointly identified by Indonesia and EIU member states. That may serve to enhance the side's capacities to benefit from increased international trade and investment. The most prospective fields may be the following: trade promotion, sanitary and phytosanitary measures, standards, technical regulation, conformity assessment procedures, customs procedures, rules of origin, and development of small and medium enterprises interaction. Cooperation on those issues can positively contribute to such areas as energy, pharmaceutical, agricultural sector, fisheries, alongside with industrial cooperation. It is very important to note that there are considerable opportunities to promote trade in services and investment to the benefits both of the EIU member states and Indonesia. The main contributors of such developments would be transport, business, and travel services. In the field of investment, the potential areas for cooperation are energy, including floating nuclear power stations, logistics and related areas, petroleum refining, automotive industry, air navigation, pharmaceutical sector, agriculture, infrastructure, electric vehicle production, information technologies. Also, one of the most promising areas of investment and trade and services cooperation could be joint work in the field of creating a network of smart cities. The priority areas for the implementation of relevant technical and digital solutions are social, health, wellness, safety, ecology, infrastructure, and innovation. As it was already mentioned today, the pandemic caused a drastic shift to a new digital era. Digital agenda is one of the most prospective areas for promoting closer cooperation between EIU and Indonesia. Advanced application and development of digital solution can give a great input to the greater trade transparency and ease of goods movements. It is very important to improve bilateral trade, to support continuously business-to-business interaction through business forums, workshops, participation in investment fairs, and other possible forms of engagement.
All right. Well,
EU-Indonesian trade relations.
Yes, Mr. Sharkaev, we have grabbed your views that there are many sectors that we can tap in, especially the energy and also digital sectors, but how can we actually implement that? We'll be asking you in just a moment once again. But before that, we'd like to also ask another view on this particular event, which is Ms. Anna Lubima. Can you please give us your insights and your views regarding the potential sectors and also the future projection in Central Europe and Eastern Europe and also in Indonesia, according to your point of view?
Good morning, dear ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, honorable guests and speakers, dear representatives of business circles, chambers of commerce, and other organizations. It's my great pleasure on behalf of the Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry to take part in this important event, which became a continuation of our previous work on different levels. First of all, I want to take this opportunity to thank all organizers of this significant forum. Ukraine is the largest country in Europe in terms of territory. Known in the world for its aircraft, the largest plane in the world, media, black soils and fertile lands, first place in terms of export of sunflower oil and millet, the second largest exporters of barley, honey, and rapeseed. IT specialists, we rank first place in Europe and top 5 in the world in terms of export of IT services. Nowadays, Ukraine is a developed country with innovative solutions in various fields, which are of world importance, a country with attractive conditions for investors. Indonesia is an archipelago of opportunities for Ukrainian business. Almost 300 million people, economic growth of 5–6% per year, gates to the huge market of ASEAN countries, one of the largest trade partners of Ukraine in Southeast Asia. It's a great pleasure that we can present our bilateral cooperation and Ukraine for Indonesia, a country that is an important economic partner of Ukraine in Asia. Ukraine and the Republic of Indonesia have always supported excellent bilateral relations. Economic cooperation between Ukraine and Indonesia is developing positively, but we still have great unrealized potential. The latest data on our commodity trade speaks for itself. Bilateral trade between Ukraine and Indonesia in 2020 amounted to $1 billion United States dollars. Ukrainian export amounted to more than $700 million US dollars, and imports in 2020 to more than $270 million US dollars. But in the first half of this year, we have a rise growth, and trade turnover between our countries amounted to more than $450 million US dollars. Today's discussions provide an opportunity to start a new stage of cooperation, and our goal is to increase our bilateral trade into 10 times. And the potential of the Indonesian market for Ukrainian products is significant. The most promising areas for deepening bilateral trade and economic cooperation are the following: agricultural, supply of cereals and processed products, fresh vegetables and fruits, meat and dairy products, food industry as well. Ukrainian agricultural products have now entered the Indonesian market on a large scale. Military technical, supply and repair of military equipment and weapons, as well as the transfer of technology for their manufacturing. Energy, supply of turbines, generators, transformers for thermal and hydroelectric power plants. Metallurgical, metal and products from it, technologies and equipment for plants. Information technology, we know that Indonesian digital economy is one of the largest and most dynamic in the region. And in Ukraine, we have the same situation. We may cooperate in this sphere. Pharmaceutical. So I think Indonesian market is so important for Ukrainian exporters. The market of Southeast Asia is included in the list of strategic regions of the world. Indonesia may be entrance for our companies to this market. Important to emphasize that we have already successfully done on the chamber level. We have memorandum of cooperation signed with Indonesian Chamber of Commerce, Kadin. In 2 recent years, we so actively organize and participate in bilateral business meetings, online exhibition, and so on. And the Ukrainian Chamber have its official representative in Indonesia, Mr. Noman Astama. We already have a successful experience of interaction between the chambers at the level of the World Federation of Chambers. We are actively developing the bilateral format of work. As well, we keep communication on the level of official leaders and with embassies and ambassadors, where future plans for joint cooperation in the economic and business fields were discussed. As well, we are so effective on regional levels and have different plans in activization our bilateral cooperation. What are our plans? This year, we plan to establish and intensify the work of the Business Council of our 2 countries to hold a large-scale business forum Ukraine-Indonesia. We will do everything to make our private business cooperate effectively. And as well, we plan to organize business forum within the framework of Intergovernmental Commission. We'd like to create guidance for companies how to deal with Indonesia, and for Indonesian companies how to deal with Ukraine. And due to the new circumstances, we search new solutions to unite and help businesses. And such situation helped to create new forms of bilateral cooperation as today's meeting. And I believe that we will continue to work at the business level, supporting the diversifying business dialogue between our countries. And I am convinced that our economic and trade cooperation will continue to be positive, and that we will overcome all difficulties, including the coronavirus pandemic. Now is not the time to be inactive, and life goes on successfully as we move forward. And I wish everyone success and good health. Thank you for your attention.
Yes, thank you. And we are also looking forward on how we can strengthen the cooperation. But before that, we would like to also ask Ms. Irina Gorbulina, who is also joining us virtually from Russia's point of view. Can you please tell us in your opinion, what are Indonesia's economic potential perceived from your point of view, and also probably from the Central and Eastern European countries?
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. First of all, thank you for inviting me to speak. This is such a significant event and give me the opportunity and privilege to talk about my favorite country, Indonesia. Not only about her unique business opportunities, but also about how underestimated her culture and art in the world, how little is known about her unique history. And of course, I would like to share my personal experience, the experience of discovery, a whole amazing, unique world, the country of Indonesia. This is a seminar because I think it's very useful. Also, I would like to explain some typical mistakes that businessmen from Russia and other Western countries make when starting their own business in Indonesia. I would like to start with the first step, main question, why Indonesia? Why do business here? When choosing a country for business, we usually evaluate many indicators, but there are some key points. Of course, huge domestic market, 260 million population, growing middle class. Previous speakers told about young population, it's very important. A growing business, sustainable economy, ability to import goods as well as profitably produce them locally. A modern country, there is support for business and investors from the government, as well as various support programs for startups and investors. Unique location, great natural condition, 70,000 beautiful islands, unique flora fauna, and excellent base to the development of tourism. A well-developed educational system is so important for manufacturing. This is a lot of more, but this is the key reason why 10 years ago, my organization, Russian Academy of Business, decided to organize the first business mission to Indonesia. But at that moment, I realized one more important thing, that I was going to go to a country about which I know nothing, except for statistics and economic indicators. So I started reading and studying about Indonesia. First, Indonesia is the largest Muslim country, but I knew little about Islam. Therefore, I find and study a book about the foundations of Islam. Then this book became required reading for all our managers who came to work in Indonesia. Second, the history of the country. Indonesia is a multitude of peoples, languages, cultures. And if you want to work in Sulawesi or Papua, you need to know and understand the local customs. They are very different from each other. The third is culture and art. Indonesia is a completely unique world. Unfortunately, current fashion determines a lot of in the world. But I am sure that when Western world will discover the amazing artwork in Indonesia masters, painters, sculptors, musicians, it will become a new, very big global trend. And now, my first important life hack. If you have worked in Europe and are going to open a business in Asia, you need to understand a very important thing. This is a different world, mentality, customs, culture. First of all, you necessary to study it, respect it, and love it, explore the history, religion, and culture. In Asia and Indonesia, there are many conventions and unwritten rules. Traditionals play no less role here than laws. People, partners, employees feel very well how you treat them. And if you are sincere and respect local traditions and culture, then they will treat you accordingly. Business in Asia, no way else is personal ties, friendship, trust. Locals prefer work only with people they know well for a long time.
Therefore, local businessmen will differently want to know you as a person, your plans, your family. The second life hack is your business must be social. You not only came to make money on the resources of this country, natural and human, but also to help people make their lives better. Support local communities, sports teams, give work to local people, thank them, do charity work. The third life hack, if you're going to work in the province, you need to know the local government has great influence. Therefore, it's important to work with them and local public organizations, business communities. It should be remembered that there are many different businesses, associations on all levels in Indonesia. They are influential and will greatly help you in building business relationships and finding partners. And more important note, there are some things that you must take into account. The information field in Indonesia not so transparent for Western businessmen. First of all, there are language problem, complex legal field and accounting. What business can be developed in Indonesia and within Indonesia? There is many of them. The country's business potential is enormous. I will mention some with, in my opinion, most interesting. All that is connected with the exploration of natural resources. I'm not just talking about the mining itself, but the geoservice sector and refining. They include the introduction of new technology, environmental development, any manufacturers, from food produced to sophisticated medical devices or oil platform. All conditions exist for this, a professional workforces, a developed transport network, export channels, and huge domestic market, export, import, trade, fintech, IT. I have already said that more is just a huge potential here. The introduction of many new technologies from food tech, which is very important in the large agricultural sector, to the introduction of AI. Indonesia has many of its own unique developments, for example, in the field of pharmaceuticals, but they require international patents, commercialization. There are many universities and research centers in Indonesia, but their developments are poorly commercialized, especially inside the country. And of course, tourism, not only Bali, many beautiful islands with unspoiled nature, unique historical monuments, local health practices, medicinal plants are not yet well known on the world market. We are seeing only the first attempts to create strong international brands. The present pandemic experienced by the world makes the direction very promising for business. Of course, the rich opportunities on the country are not limited to this list. Now, I would like to say a few words about some misconception from foreign businessmen. I would like most of this. I think ideas about Indonesia as a mainly agricultural economy, which of course it's absolutely wrong. People here avoid open conflict and stress. It's very important to understand people's customs, mentality. It's very important. In conclusion, I would like to note that many entrepreneurs from Russia prefer the usual jurisdiction, Singapore, Hong Kong, but new destinations such as Indonesia offer significantly more business opportunities, so as they can have completely different market volumes, less competition, and better resource base. But the main problem, in my opinion, is the lack of information and advertisement. We see how competitively and actively Indonesia advertises its tourism opportunities, but business opportunities are not advertised enough. Her Excellency Ibu Marsudi talked about new business platform. I think it's great new opportunity for business, for open Indonesia, open opportunities of Indonesia. It might be worth looking here for various new forms of events, public organizations, business ambassadors that strengthen Indonesia's position among the global business community. I'm confident in the future further rapid and successful development of Indonesia. And I'm ready to help and support in every possible way and effective ways in informing foreign businessmen about the opportunity of this wonderful country. Consider me, please, Indonesian public business ambassador. Thank you very much for your attention. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. And we'll be asking more on your views and also experiences, especially in Indonesia, Ms. Gorbulina. But before that, I would like to go back to Dr. Koka, because he has mentioned that there are many potentials, especially in the digital sector. And you have also mentioned, Dr. Koka, about how the medical tech and also the financial tech that is growing here in Indonesia can be tapped in and is a great potential. But in your opinion, because you also have had experiences doing business with Indonesia, can you please tell us more about your experience and the challenges and what can be improved, especially implementing those potential sectors?
Yes, I'm unmuted. So first and foremost, again, I'd like to emphasize the importance of know-how transfer because of the distances and because of the nature of these services. We Hungarians are 10,000 kilometers away. We are a relatively small country, and it's uneasy to manufacture goods in a quantity which is required for a country of nearly 300 million people. Therefore, software and technologies are probably the most important export items between these two regions. But apart from our own perspectives on software, I think Indonesia has a great internal market and a great regional chance to be there. For this, I think what you need to do, apart from adopting the latest technologies and marrying with incumbent Indonesian ones, is to speed up the review of your regulation in Indonesia. I give you two examples. One example, two Hungarian examples. One example is when the Hungarian state has introduced the national e-health system, which is a cloud-based technology platform for interfacing between patients, health providers, and creating a data repository for all health data. This is now the state-run platform for exchanging information between all stakeholders of the health care sector. And that was initiated via a regulation that came in force in mid-2010s, as a result of which we were very quickly able to digitize all our processes and procedures for the hospitals, for the family care centers, for the outpatient centers, and also for private health providers. The second and probably similarly important step was made by the Hungarian state during the pandemic. During the pandemic, we realized that it is getting more and more difficult for families to visit the doctors physically in a fear of being contaminated, for example, and also as a result of the overwhelming load on the public healthcare sector. Therefore, the significance and the importance of telemedicine, teleconsultations, telediagnostics, telemetrics, telemonitoring have increased significantly. And as a reflection to that, from the regulator, they implemented a regulation where the virtual visits using telemedicine is being acknowledged legally equally to the physical visit at the doctor. This particular regulation in itself is helping us to increase the proportion of telemedical visits versus physical ones. Now, these two examples, digital medical records and telemedicine, gives you a great view on how your regulatory bodies can assist the country to embrace the latest technology in an extremely important field, being healthcare.
But of course, with improved regulations and also, as you mentioned before, the exchange of knowledge between our two countries has to be emphasized. All right, Dr. Koka, and we would like to also ask to Ms. Liu Bima, because you have mentioned also on the potential cooperation, especially in the energy sector, and also your experiences in the Chamber of Commerce between Ukraine and Indonesia. What are your experiences, and how can we tap into the potential and also further explore and maximize the potential?
Thank you for the question. Sure, we agree that Indonesia is a huge market and it's a really potential market for Ukraine. As well, Ukraine has a unique chance to become a key Eurasian center of technology, infrastructure, production, and agribusiness. And Ukraine has logistical advantages because it is considered as a gateway to Europe and occupies a hub position between the West and the East. So we may use our benefits and promote bilateral trade. And as was mentioned, I talked about several potential spheres of activity, but it's not the whole list. We understand that we may cooperate in different spheres, and we are ready to assist Indonesian and Ukrainian companies to deal with themselves.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Lubima. And while we are here, we'd like to also know more because we're facing the COVID-19 pandemic situation and especially the challenges that we are facing, and many have also mentioned about the logistics sector that is deeply and heavily affected by the COVID-19. We have with us Pak Trismawan Sanjaya. Mr. Sanjaya, can you please tell us how has the COVID-19 pandemic affected the logistics and how has it impacted, especially the businesses?
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. That relating with the industry of the logistics actually now is very affected with the pandemic. Even though some of them that they are enjoy with this kind of situation, for example, like the e-commerce industries, but most of the industrial sectors means that the logistics in industrial sectors is very, very affected. Because as you know that now the industrial, especially for the manufacturing industries, that very impacted due to the pandemic situation after the closing of the some activities and also lockdown in the countries that also impacted into their raw material supplies. Means that the logistics also will be affected due to the decreasing of the numbers of their activities. And affected also with the financial issue, means that the cash flow of the logistics and forwarders industry. Once the pandemic situation happened in Indonesia, that most of the, you know that the situation of the trading industry is not balanced, so it means that also affected into the price condition, and the price condition also affected into the logistics industry have to be involved into the pre-finance, how to pay for the such activities, and then the situation also affected into the cash flow situation. Meanwhile, the overseas situation also not so support because the lockdown is not so also together. They are happening into the recovery the situation. So sometimes the some area also already recover the situation, but the other is still not so open to be start the logistic activity. So means that the situation also affected the flow of the movement of the goods. And the situation in this moment also facing for the logistic industry due to the most of the vessel is going to which the country already open and already recovered the economy. So the demand also of these containers and also the logistic activities coming into the certain countries means also affected into the price condition and also the availability of the units of the containers, how can be very needs of the logistic industry. So this is the kind of, and I have to be considered also that Indonesia is there most of the very unique country that, you know, archipelago country means the most of the logistic Indonesia mostly is coverage by the small medium enterprises. So they are covering only for the regional scale, and then only 30% will be covered for the national scale, and then not more than 10% is covered for the international scale. So means once they are happening for the international trade, so means also affecting into the regional and domestic trade, especially for the moving of the goods, also affecting once the industry or the manufacturing also they are not so optimum to produce the goods.
How can we resolve this? How can the logistics sectors resolve this and play an important role in improving the transfer of the goods?
Yeah, so in this moment that we have to enhance the knowledge and also the competence of our logistic player, means that once the situation is coming worse, so means that we also have to consider how to develop the knowledge and also the technology as well. So the technology, I think, is now going developed by the government besides also the private sector. So it is also very helpful how to minimize and also how to be more efficient for the logistic activities. However, for moving the goods, it is not so easily to be considered like the digital technology. So for moving the goods also we still need the hardware, like how the transport mode, and also how can we also get the more available of the facilities like the port and also the others. So once the transport mode also stops, so it means the logistics also difficult how to transport or to move the commodities. In the meantime, this condition also not so easy to be just considered into the education. However, we need how to get the support from the government also, like maybe a relaxation or privilege from the government. How can the logistics also getting more survive into this worse condition? And I think it's very important also about the education, because as you know that some of the logistic sometimes need to know more about the character or to recognize in each country to be moved the cargo. So sometimes we are difficult to move the cargo from our country to the other country once we have no enough information or enough product or characteristic of this country. So it will be happen once we move the cargo to there, and then suddenly, or sometimes also be halted there to fulfill some requirement in such countries.
All right, Mr. Sanjaya. And we'd like to also know more, because you have mentioned about the flow of goods. We'd like to know from the business's point of view, which is we have with us today Mr. Bernardino Vega from the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Vega, can you please tell us what is the current situation like among business players, especially in the time of COVID-19 with the challenges of the logistics sectors, and especially after you have heard the potential sectors that can be tapped in by the Central and Eastern European countries?
Sure. Thank you, Sarah, and good morning, everyone. Good afternoon here in Indonesia. First of all, this is a very timely event. It's timely, and it's also brilliant in its ideas as we explore new markets coming out of the post-pandemic economy. Based on the four speakers that and Patrice also, of course, five, let me just sort of frame it into two different sections, right? How did we get here, and what's the situation now? And the second section is, how do we look at it in the future, in the post-pandemic economy, and what what will the landscape look like generally? And people might differ. I mean, I have a view, and other people might have a different view. But I think behind the numbers that Pak Dirjen mentioned today, just in his speech, Indonesia's recovery is remarkable, and I think you can argue about that, but last year in 2020 we were trending -2, right? Today we're trending about 7%, and by all figures, economists are saying that we will be about what, 5.1, 5.0 growth rate, right? And behind those numbers, there are like four reasons why this post-pandemic shift in Indonesian economy exists. Number one, and we can also argue about this, the vaccine rollout has been quite effective, right? We'll be honest, right? Despite all the early challenges, today Indonesia's vaccine rollout has been relatively effective, and it's stabilized the economy to a certain extent. That's the first reason. The second reason, I think there has been a shift, and this is even pre-pandemic, a shift from a lot of investors looking at the China-US situation, have been shifting their investments to Southeast Asia. And there has been two waves of investment. The first investment really benefited Vietnam and for a certain part Thailand. But the second wave of investment actually went to Indonesia, right? And if you see the types of investments in Indonesia today, in the last 2 years, there are three areas where investors are investing. Number one, they're investing in manufacturing facilities. Number two, they're going downstream. So they're really going up the value chain in the investment opportunities. And number three, the first speaker really alluded to, is the fact that there is a push towards medical devices, because the pandemic really proved that exacerbate the need to improve our healthcare and our healthcare infrastructure. So those are the issues that we think. And the third thing, I think you could see the deficit trade, our products, some of our commodities prices increased. The demand for our prices, for our commodities also increased worldwide. So you see that the trade deficit improving for Indonesia. And of course, the fourth, and it was alluded to, I think you because pre-pandemic we rolled out the vaccine. The omnibus law, right? And now you're also seeing the effect of the omnibus law. So these four reasons sort of become the baseline of Indonesian investment, and probably one of the reasons why you're seeing a growth, right? For the future, looking forward, I think there are 5 sectors, and some of the speakers earlier mentioned, and I think I agree. Number one, Indonesia continues to big demand for infrastructure and technology from the Central and Eastern European countries are in need for those infrastructure. There is an undang-undang now that has already been is going through Parliament for a new capital, Ibu Kota Baru, and that will require a lot of investment and infrastructure in our new capital. So that's one. Two, there is also a push for renewable energy. I think the future, and I think Eastern and Central European countries can take advantage of Indonesia's push to become greener, and the investment paradox or investment criteria of employing more of an ESG type of approach to investment. Right. So that's the two, and the third area, of course, is digitalization. The first speaker is quite correct. Indonesia's digital penetration increases. There is a need for the Internet of Things, and the pandemic also showed us that. So.
All right, thank you. Those are the opportunities that can be grabbed from the Eastern and Central European countries. Thank you, Pak Dino, Mr. Vega, for your insights and also your point of view. Everyone, please give a round of applause for our panelists. That was the introduction session for our business seminar. And before we move on to the question and answer session, once again, I'd like to remind you that you can propose a question by using the chat box feature. And for those of you who are here at the venue, we also encourage you, if you have any questions that we'd like to propose directly to the speakers, please do so by contacting our committee. and we will be providing a microphone for you to ask a question. So, to all the panelists, ladies and gentlemen, Patrice, who is here with us at the venue, and to all panelists who are joining us virtually, I will be reading the questions that we have received from the question and answer chat box feature on Zoom. The first question is from Emilio from N-Turk Ticaret Limited. The question is for Mr. Mikhail and also Mr. Dino. The question is, considering access and tariff barriers between the EEC region and Indonesia, as well as logistic-wise challenges from and to Indonesia, I would like to understand your point of view on the opportunity for the third countries, such as Turkey, to serve as a trading hub for exporting or importing products to and from Indonesia. So probably we can have Mr. Mikhail Sherekayev to probably answer the question first. Mr. Sherekayev?
Thank you very much for the question. First part of the question. As regards the tariff barriers, as I've already said, we are now studying jointly with the Indonesian colleagues the perspectives of possibility of conclusion of free trade agreement between Eurasian Economic Union and Indonesia. As soon as the decision will be taken and the negotiation are finalized, the tariff barriers could be reduced regarding the majority of goods which are traded between Indonesia and the Eurasian economic countries. But still, at the moment, as we see, for the huge part of Indonesian exports and for the huge parts of Indonesian imports from EIU, the level of tariffs are not very high at the moment, and for the existing export. But we still understand and we still think that there is a perspective for considerable widening of the number of articles which could be traded between the parties at the moment. As regard the logistics issue, now I would like to mention that there are now within the Eurasian Economic Union we are working on modern transport solutions which will provide for seamless transportation of goods within the Eurasian Economic Union in via railway transport. We have unified document requirements for transportation via automobile transport, and also would like to draw your attention to the fact that there are some ports of the Russian Federation which are situated near to Indonesia on the Pacific seashore of the Russian Federation, which are now under development, and the government of the Russian Federation, as to my knowledge, has the plans to hugely develop these ports. As regards using Turkey as a hub for sending goods to the EIU countries, the one thing I can mention is that there is no free trade agreement between Eurasian Economic Union and Turkey, and also that Turkey is not, say, a neighboring country. So if you are going to ship goods through Turkey to the Eurasian Economic Union, you will have to pass few ports or few countries by transit in order to get to the EIU customs territory. Thank you very much for attention.
Thank you, Mr. Sherekayev, for the answer. And I would like to move on to Padino.
Sure.
Mr. Vega, can you please tell us, in your opinion, what are the opportunities for countries such as Turkey as a third country, as a hub?
Okay, I think we have to divide it into two things. I like, number one, let's identify the quick wins first, right? The low-hanging fruits. I think what we can do now, right, which is really, is just information dissemination of RRPs on our CIQS, right? Rules, regulations, and procedures of each country. If somebody wants to import to Indonesia, what are the RRPs, rules, regulations, procedures, on the customs, immigration, and quarantines process. And then we disseminate those, get a primer, right, and send it out to the Central and Eastern European countries, and they also provide us, so that importers and exporters understand what are this process in order to do that. That's actually a quick win. We don't need any regulation. Itu aja, just get a primer, a set, and you can even send it online, right? The second on identifying a hub port, I think maybe Turkey or others, I think it is already timely for us to really look, revisit some of our traditional port of entries, right? And so this need for Central or Eastern Europe port of entry is probably something that we could visit. And I think to expand on some of the discussions, this is timely because of two things. Number one, Indonesia has comprehensive economic partnership agreements with various countries. There is a broad base of CEPA with the ASEAN Plus 5. We have also just signed with Australia. We have signed with Korea, Japan, and now in negotiations with with UAE. Export or import hub in Indonesia, makes sense, right, on a paper. But and then vice versa in somewhere in Eastern and Central Europe. I think there is a need for us to revisit this kind of process. The quick wins would be just get more information out to pelaku usaha, to the importers and exporters, so that they understand how do we do this if we want to export something to Eastern Central Europe, and how do the Central Eastern Europe exporters, what is the process in exporting their products into Indonesia? Thank you.
Thank you, but really understanding the process and also
So
the
one
regulations.
thing maybe from me
Yes,
about this
please.
question.
Yes, Patrice, please do.
Actually, that maybe now the situation is not so friendly for the European and American due to the shortage of the container and also the shortage of the space for the air freight or sea freight. So means that also will be a problem for the moving of the goods from here to there. So means that it may be proposed to assign the third country as the intermediate or hub, how to bridging from Indonesia to the European country. I think is very, very helpful. So means that we can maybe generate the collaboration or joint operation with some enterprises in the Middle East. How can bridging our good movement from here to the European countries? It is, I think, is very, very useful.
All right, that's another additional insight from Mr. Sanjaya. And now, before we move on to the other question, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to give the opportunity. Is there any question that would like to be proposed from anyone who are here in person at the venue? Before we move on to the Zoom session question and answer, we would like to also remind that you can, if you have any questions, to propose directly, and then we'll provide you a microphone to ask to our panelists. And also, you can ask directly to whom you'd like to propose your question to. So we'd like to move on to another question that has been presented on our question and answer platform. The next question is from Adrianus from Pura Group, and the question is for Pak Trismawan, Mr. Sanjaya, and also Ms. Gorbulina. The question is, what do you suggest the government can help exporters to get containers to go to most European seaports? Since last year, the container schedule to the region has been very rare and the freight cost has become very expensive. We'd like to ask Ms. Gorbulina her answer and also her views regarding the suggestions, what the government can do to help the exporters in facing these challenges. Ms. Gorbulina?
I'm not sure, it's complicated. So, hard to say, because government will see how government can help. I don't know, because it's very complicated problem. I think it's maybe government can't streamline more customs. I think it's reason to reduce cost, whatever, what yet. I think reduce cost for exported. So I think it's.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Gorbulina. It is a very challenging and also complicated problem. So we'd like to ask here from Mr. Sanjay's point of view, with the complications that is being faced by the logistics sectors, what is, in your opinion, that the government can do in playing a role?
Yes, actually, yes, I already explained that due to the shortage of containers, the sea freight costs and others, it is a business to business, B2B field. So that's why sometimes the government is very difficult to get involved into this one. However, I believe that once the government also are paying concern on this, so they can do through their state-owned company, maybe to facilitate how to consolidate the cargo for the exporting through the state-owned company as under of the government. So after consolidate the cargo, buying by the state-owned company, so means they also have a bargain how to co-work with the shipping line or airlines to minimize the cost out, or to stop the increasing of the cost. And the other hand also, maybe we can bargain to them how can they allocate the facility of the containers and also the shipping space to us, because we have a bargain of the volume once we consolidate through the one alliance or the institution. In the other hand also, maybe from the government can explore how can, for example, to support how can the logistic national, not only the logistic, but also especially for the national shipping company, how can our own national shipping company can explore to the international wide? So means that also we can occupy the national shipping company to go to the international by exploring our export commodities to the other countries. In the meantime, now very difficult, very limited for the national company who explore to the international scale. So means the government also can support for the national shipping company can go to the international flag. That's.
Yes, please, Padino.
Let me just add a bit what
Yes.
Patrice is saying. You know, every Friday, which is tomorrow, right? Every Friday at our chamber office, the Minister of Trade, Pak Lutfi, is there for 3 hours to discuss this issue. Right? He calls in exporters, he calls in importers, he calls in shipping lines, and we have been, you know, discussing this issue, trying to figure out how do we find a short-term solution, and also, you know, what does it look like long-term? And I think what Patrice is saying is correct. We just need to consolidate, right, at this current situation, make, you know, instead of jual ketengan, right, individual exporters, we just need to consolidate and try to negotiate with the shipping lines and get better pricing. That's the short-term solution. Long-term, you got to look at infrastructure, you got to look at how Indonesian shippers can be more exposed internationally. But short-term, this is what we're doing. And I think the government, Indonesian government, is doing everything they can. I'm a witness to these meetings every Friday, and they just hammer out solutions, right?
3-hour Friday meetings to help resolve the challenges. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and probably before we wrap up today's discussion, I would like to ask all the panelists, because you have mentioned, Padino and Patrice, about the importance of collaboration and also cooperation. Probably as the last question, I would like to ask each panelist on their point of view, probably to wrap up, and how each of the institutions that you are in, ladies and gentlemen, can help play a role, especially in enhancing and strengthening the economic cooperation between Indonesia and also the Central and Eastern European countries. Probably we can start from Mr. Sherekaev. Briefly, Mr. Sherekaev.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Of course, taking into account this post-pandemic situation, the economic cooperation is very important, both on the scale of business-to-business communication and on the scale of government-to-government communication. As regards Eurasian Economic Community Commission, as I've already said, we are now working closely on providing seamless transport corridors within the territory of Eurasian Economic Union. And if you will see the map, it's a very huge territory with including a number of countries with huge economic potential, and having in mind a possible future free trade agreement, which also can cover issues devoted both to interconnectivity of transport systems. It was already mentioned by other panelists, the transparency of rules and procedures, the possibility to understand them for the companies on both sides also is very important. And the third issue is, of course, the reduction of tariff and non-tariff barriers, including not only customs tariffs, but also differences in technical requirements, sanitary and phytosanitary requirements. So we hope that the work in these spheres will give huge input both to cooperation and to future developments in our mutual trade. Thank you for the attention.
Thank you, Mr. Sherekhaev. And next, we'd like to also ask Ms. Gorbulina, from your point of view, how can we maximize the collaboration and what role can your institution play in enhancing the economic cooperation?
Thank you for question. I think it's very important as well to have effective communication. I talked before about this between businessmen and government, all countries, to promote that economic recovery. Yeah, I talked about this, but maybe we need more clear information, more shortly, more concentrate, because we haven't now time to research a lot of information, different information from different countries. I told about platform, communication platform. It should be a very great idea, but I think more support from government, it should be very good. And more business forums, face-to-face, the communication between businesses, between organizations, it's very important, because business is people. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gorbulina. Clear information and also communication, that is the key. Next, Dr. Koka, can you please give us your point of view on how we can enhance the economic cooperation and maximize the role?
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I very much agree with the point that communication needs to be fostered and facilitated between the two regions. And in order to facilitate it more efficiently, the importance of personal visits is unquestionable. And as a result of the pandemic lockdowns, visits, travels to Indonesia have been extremely difficult lately. You Indonesians have done a great job in containing the virus lately. The curves are promisingly going down, so I would suggest and encourage you to reopen the corridors for the business community so that we can pay more frequent visits to Jakarta. I think fora, including virtual ones, but before all personal ones, would do their job very quickly. And at the same time, I would like to thank for the organizers for this great event, and I would like to say goodbye by saying terima kasih dan selamat untuk konferensi yang luar biasa. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Terima kasih as well. Opening corridors for business players, but at the meantime, faster communication is still the key in Dr. Koka's point of view. Terima kasih sekali lagi. Then next we have also Ms. Lubima. Lubima, can you please tell us how, in your point of view, we can enhance the cooperation, especially with your institution?
Thank you so much for such question. As a chamber, we will continue to work at the business level, supporting and diversifying business dialogue between our countries. And we will be glad to provide Indonesian entrepreneurs with the business, legal information, and a range of other services for their activity at the Ukrainian market. And as I mentioned before, due to the new circumstances, we searched new solutions to unite and help businesses. And such situation helped to create new forms of bilateral cooperation, so we may develop effective model of exchange commercial proposals and requests, improve reliable partners register for long-term cooperation between our companies, and establish international communication platform where our companies may provide B2B negotiations and provide online exhibitions. And as soon as the coronavirus pandemic finished, we would like to organize a offline business mission of Ukrainian entrepreneurs to Indonesia and organize bilateral business forum, because I agree that personal meetings is it is important. So, and in conclusion, I would like to say that this meeting plays a very important role for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lubima. And now we'd like to ask Pak Trismawan, Mr. Sanjaya, with all the challenges, what can we expect and what role can we maximize to further enhance the economic cooperation between countries?
Yes, I believe that we cannot stop only for this event. So we have to continue, and then also how to enhance the communication among the countries from CAA and Indonesia. So it means that can be supported by the government, maybe through the ambassadors or the Ministry of Foreign. How can we continue the discussion and communication through the commercial commerce in each country? So it means that we can deeply study it and also learning about the culture in each and especially not only for the trade, for the commodities, but also for the services. So through the, maybe each commercial chambers can exchange the information, exchange the knowledge. How can we engage and also develop and improve the collaboration in the near future?
Thank you very much, Mr. Sanjaya. And now, Pak Dino, once again, it was mentioned about collaboration from Mr. Sanjaya. In your opinion, how can we maximize each institution's role, especially from your experiences?
Okay, thank you. I don't want to repeat what the other speakers have said. I completely agree with it. I think one of the things that I just want to plug for our next business meeting is this. We have a upcoming 10 November, INA and Czech Republic will have a business forum, and hopefully you guys can all join. And this is just a first of many series of meetings that we have with Kadin. Kadin also has a business support desk, and so I also encourage people, if you want to know more information about particular regulations, particular ministries, please contact us. We have a business support desk, market intelligence, and we are there for your service in whatever form that we can support. And so that's probably what I can say. And thank you very much for the organizers for this very timely, very strategic meeting in enhancing this investment and trade between Indonesia and Central and Eastern Europe. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Dino, for your closing note. And ladies and gentlemen, due to the limited amount of time, we have come to the end of the business discussion session. Please once again give a round of applause for our panelists, both who have joined us virtually. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us from Europe, and also to the gentleman here who is at the venue. Thank you once again, Pak Tris, Pak Dino. Once again, please give a round of applause for our panelists. And ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause, please do. I hope everyone had a fruitful and also beneficial discussion, and I hope everyone here will have wonderful experiences in doing business and conducting business in Indonesia. I, Sarah Wayne, thank you for your time and attendance. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, and I return the stage to our Master of Ceremony. Let's give a round of applause for our Master of Ceremony, Ms. Amanda.
Thank you, Ms. Wayne. What an insightful discussion, on the business perspective between Indonesia and CE region. From the discussion, it is confirmed that common challenges require common efforts, as Bapak Ngurah Swajaya earlier mentioned, and government and private sectors must work hand in hand to tackle the barriers. Also, countries will need to collaborate together. We hope the business matching session later today will be as lively and fruitful to be resulted in strengthening our business collaboration even more. Once again, thank you to our respected panelists, responder, and moderator. Ms. Sarah Wayne and gentlemen, you may now return to your seats. I might want to mention as well that Ms. Sarah Wayne is a very notable anchor and journalist in Indonesia. I'm sure most of you are already aware of, but for colleagues in Europe, Ms. Sarah Wayne is a notable anchor and journalist in Indonesia. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to officially close INACEE Business Forum 2021, I now have the honor to invite the Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency Bapak Mahendra Siregar, to deliver his remarks.
Excellencies, ambassadors, distinguished participants to INACEE Business Forum, ladies and gentlemen, selamat sore to Indonesian participants of INACEE Business Forum, and good afternoon from Jakarta to everyone participating from the Central and Eastern European countries. First of all, I would like to thank you for the great interest and commitment to join this forum. Your presence and enthusiasm toward this forum shows our strong resolve to do business in a non-business as usual way amid our battle against the COVID-19 pandemic. We are all aware of the serious blows that the pandemic has caused on the global economy. Nevertheless, we have heard reports of significant economic rebound in many countries that need to be responded by immediate and concrete responses. Today has been indeed a momentous day. We have successfully concluded the first Indonesia, Central and Eastern Europe Business Forum. This forum is very important to revitalize trade and investment relations between Indonesia and CEE countries. We have learned that there are significant potentials to be explored, especially to respond to the significant economic rebound post-COVID situation. I am grateful for the convening of this spiritual engagement between our businesses in Indonesia and CEE countries. I note with satisfaction there are concrete results coming from this event. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to conclude this important forum, I would like to highlight 3 points. First, collaboration and cooperation are essential. The potentials of our bilateral cooperation are very significant, both on trade and investment, including on tourism, when situation allows. Figures show that the total trade of Indonesia CEE in 2020 was around $6.4 billion, which only made up 2% of Indonesia's global trade, and a tiny fraction, 0.01% of the total trade between CEE and the world. Investment is one of the key drivers of Indonesia's economic growth. With the law of job creation is in place, it creates a sound investment climate in various sectors, including in tourism. We also established the Indonesia Investment Authority as your main collaborator for investment in infrastructure green projects, digital infrastructure, tourism, and financial services. I am certain that we utilize all instruments that we have, we will be able to elevate our economic relations, including what we have concluded today. Ladies and gentlemen, second, embracing and empower the digitalization. Looking back at the past 18 months, every country in the world are working hard to overcome the pandemic. As we strive to recover stronger from the pandemic, a business-as-usual approach will not cut it, which is why we need to explore innovative ways to accelerate our recovery through digitalization. And this forum, our interaction today, is one of the answers. We can continue to utilize this event and our digital platform to keep interactions among our businesses with the facilitation of our team at the ministry and also those at the respective Indonesian embassies. I certainly recommend you to take advantage to INACEE as a comprehensive platform to access hundreds of companies and thousands of products on daily displays for 24/7 access for your business. In addition, this innovative digital platform also presents vast investment opportunities. Likewise, Indonesian companies, I believe, are also seeking to invest in overseas markets, especially in Central and European countries. Ladies and gentlemen, the third, Indonesia is committed to green and low-carbon economy. It is important to have a balanced approach between environmental protection and socio-economic progress. For this purpose, Indonesia addresses climate change as part of the sustainable development. With strong efforts and commitment, Indonesia has managed to reduce the deforestation rate by 75%, the lowest ever in history, as well as the forest and land incident by 82% compared to 2019. With this record highlighting the important sustainable management of forests and land use, we are on track to meet our target of reducing greenhouse gas by 29% on our own and 41% with international support by 2030. In the same vein, we are now doing the same efforts toward the energy transition. This encouraging development should create new opportunity for future business cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, the INACEE Business Forum is a first step to boost business cooperation between Indonesia and CEE countries. I am pleased to see the enthusiasm of more than 200 participants taking part in this event. I also welcome that this forum has produced an MOU to establish Indonesia-Ukraine Business Association by PT Esar Berkah Jaya and Smart 4B, and an LOI between PT Rodamas, Inti International, and Pico Limited Bulgaria to purchase high-fat desiccated coconut with a value of $1.4 million per year. I encourage you to continue taking advantage of INACEE Business Forum as a venue to expand your business with Indonesia. I hope this forum can be organized annually in both virtual or physical format when the situation allows. We should not let this pandemic stop us from exploring the potentials and moving further. And on that note, finally, let me thank our colleagues for making this event a success, to all speakers for their contribution, and most importantly, to the businesses in Indonesia and Central and Eastern European countries. Let me reaffirm that Indonesia, the Asia's economic powerhouse, is open for business. Thank you, and I hope to see you again next year.
Thank you, Bapak. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the plenary session of INACEE Business Forum 2021. We will proceed with the business matching session shortly. If you have not signed up for a meeting session, you can do so via our digital platform at ina-access.com. I repeat, ina-access.com. We want to thank all of our counterparts, both from the public and private sectors here in Indonesia and abroad, for their full support. See you in the next INACEE Business Forum.
We're still here, waiting for you. We still remember the awe in your eyes. We can still hear your clapping for us. And we have prepared all of our beauty and richness until it's the time for you to come back. We will be waiting for you. See you in Indonesia.
Thank you very much, Excellencies, Ambassadors, distinguished panelists, and representatives of the embassies.